president that year of the Ronald McDonald House. So she said, you have one thing that you have to do, you have to come and volunteer at the Ronald McDonald House. So I started volunteering in 1988, and I'm still here in 2010.
Okay. I'm Joyce Trevette. I retired from teaching in '93 and belonged to an education sorority, professional sorority. And I brought some things over here from their wish list one time. And I think I made a mistake by saying, do you ever need volunteers? And they kind of suited me up. I volunteered, I was on the board for 6 years. And now I'm volunteering, and I really enjoy volunteering more than I did being on board.
Cheryl Cruz. I'm from Lexington. I guess I came here under different circumstances. My daughter was going to school in St. Pete, Florida, and she was in a car accident, and she was in a coma for 4 months. And next to St. Petersburg Hospital was the Ronald McDonald House, and I had no idea what it was about. The chaplain just got us a room, and we were there for 6 months. We brought my daughter back here to Cardinal Hill. And she was in a permanent vegetative state, and she died a year after the accident. And I wasn't handling my grief very well for a couple of years, and then I came here, and I walked in the door, and it was just bittersweet. But I knew in order to get better, I was going to have to give back what was all given to us during our stay. We didn't want or need for anything. They reminded us when to eat. They knew if we'd gone without eating. But so this is a huge part of my healing process.
This was an altruistic project for our sorority, and I think by coming over here I saw what it was like. But it's been good for me too. I was going out teaching every day. All of a sudden, and my son goes away to college, all of a sudden I'm home every day without all these people, and I don't care for dusting and vacuuming that much. So I came over here, and I feel like I've not only helped these people, but these people have helped me in many, many ways. 2 quick stories, if I may. We had one little girl that we became very, very close to. And we were told that we could listen, but we can't counsel. But we became really close to this little girl. And in fact, my husband drove us to Oxford, Kentucky to see her. They took her home to die. And we went to Oxford, Kentucky to see her. Then we went back for the funeral. And this was just, you know, I knew then why they said don't get too close to the people. But then we had another little girl that was, I didn't think she would make it. And now she's a healthy individual. We went to see her in the hospital one time after a surgery. It started with a brain tumor, and then the tumor spread to the spine, but they did wonders for her. And she's healthy and happy now, and a good-sized girl. The people here, especially right now, it's such a happy place. Even though we have problems, if a child dies, we don't make those people clean the room. We say, you go on, go home, do whatever you need to. We'll take care of the rooms. We'll take care of your problems. But it's a joy to hear people say, I don't know what we would have done without you. Last week we were doing yard work, and this woman said, thank you all so much for making this not only a good place to stay, but a pretty place to stay.
Oh, and the couple that got married here, it was a young couple from Eastern Kentucky. And they had been meaning to marry for, they had a 2-year-old, and then she was here with her second baby, premature. And they just didn't have the money to get married. They, as a matter of fact, they didn't know how they were going to pay their rent when they got home. So we scrambled around, and one day we had a minister and found her address and
Did the flowers?
yeah, did the flowers, had the dining room set up with little gifts and that, and the groom made a comment that it just has stuck with me. He said, and this is a really young couple, you know. He said, I knew when I walked through the doors that this house was going to mean more than just a place to stay. And I just get cold chills. We have those stories all the time, though.
We had a football coach at UK, was that?
Richbrook?
No, Mommy, Coach Mommy.
Howard. He was instrumental in helping to start the first house in Philadelphia. And so he worked with it and helped build it and volunteered. And when he and his wife came here, he came up one day and said, I could not go by this place without coming up to see what I can do. So they didn't want to be in the public eye, but they did a lot behind the scenes, and they would take these little cancer patients, and he would take the little boy to practice, watch the team practice, and they came over and did a birthday party one night for one of the little girls, and she dressed up in a big animal outfit, and they continued after they left here to send money back, because I took a check over to the hospital to one little girl one day, and she said, hey Mom, may I can get a good pair of shoes?
When the house first opened, we had a lot of cancer patients. That was when at UK they were doing bone transplants and so forth. But now we've kind of switched to the families that we have here now are people, moms who have premature births and so forth. And this morning we were talking to a lady who has been here 5 months. Her baby weighed 16 ounces, and now the baby weighs 6 pounds.
And they had said it probably would not survive the trip from home, wherever they were. Somerset said it probably won't survive. And so they had nothing but praise for the UK Children's Hospital.
And also for having a place to stay here.
We can't always do what we want to for people. You know, I wish I had the means to just take care of them. We do what we can. We're not supposed to. I shouldn't say that. We're not supposed to give financially, but you can't help it sometimes. One mother brought her child here, jerked him up out of the street and brought him here because he was trying to commit suicide. He had lost his dad and he just didn't understand. They didn't have any clothes, anything with them. They just came up immediately here to stay at Charter or the Ridge. And my husband and I went out to outfit the mother, and he said, well, what about the little boy? He needs pajamas and underwear, and sometimes we just do things if we can on the spur of the moment.
We were talking about this little girl that had cancer, and it was just such a pleasure for us. We used to take her to the beauty parlor to have her nails done. And Joyce has a friend who has a convertible, and they took her one day in the convertible. And the joy of that 12-year-old getting to ride in
I haven't heard that one.
a,
We said, what would you like? What is something you'd like? She said, well, you know, when you go and somebody does stuff to your nails and makes them real pretty, I'd like to do that. We said, get a manicure? And she said, yeah, that's it. And then she said, and I'd like to ride in that convertible I saw. My friend drives a van, so she'll come over and park her car and then drive the van to and from the hospitals. So I asked Liz if she would do it. She said, sure. So we took her out at the time, Dillard's, and they did her nails. They did her mother's nails. And so I went up to pay, and they said, there won't be any charge.